Okay, so we're working through the presentation, the pitch deck, and we just thought we'd just have a quick catch up to talk how that's going. So we're it's not a fast process. It takes time. Every slide takes its time, David, and I just wanted to check in with you how you're finding the experience and how you're seeing the flow of the story coming now as compared to how it was before.
No, I think it's really interesting for us to do that, especially now, so we can confront our vision, trying to really to look at every step of the story, and that every slide makes sense after one another. Every word is important, and that I think one of the things that we've seen is that sometimes when it's too wordy, you read half of the words.
Yeah,
you
not even.
don't understand. So we have to be very precise and on everything that we say, every step of the way.
Every step of the way. One of the things we talked about is you're telling a story. You know, you're more or less sending people a storybook, and it's a short story. You don't have long to capture their attention, but that's what you must do. And by the end of it, you've got to have taught them something. So when they actually go through this presentation, we want them to come out thinking, "Gee, I learned something there." And it was interesting as we started going through just the first few slides and moved them around and made the presentation more simple and more clear. I mean, even you said, Dave, you said, "Wow, I actually feel that if I was reading this the first time, I feel that I would have learned something."
Yeah. I think for me, the way to catch up the attention of someone is that in the first few slides, this is catching my attention. I'm going to be smarter after this, or I'm going to learn things.
Yeah.
One thing also maybe I wanted to highlight is the fact that you don't have to put everything on your slide, every information. I think it's a very important point, because one might have the tendency to put everything, so you don't want people to lose anything in the process, but actually overflowing might actually have the opposite effect, which is that people won't understand the message. So you have to be very crystal clear about the messages.
Correct.
And leave space maybe for them to learn more in a different presentation, maybe in a discussion.
And to fill in with your own thing, I think what we can say is one of the toughest things is what to leave out.
Yes.
Trying to decide what to leave out and just keeping it simple. Remember, we're telling a story, we're telling a flow. So each slide must be connected in a nice flow through the story, so that you're taking them on a journey across a bridge to a new place, a new set of knowledge. We're up to this point now where we're getting now to introduce slave-free trade. We've talked about slavery, the problem with slavery. So we spent 6 slides now talking about the problem of slavery, whereas before it was a bit all over the place. Now I think they've got a pretty clear picture that it's a big problem, it exists. What we're trying to do about it is not being effective, and now we can introduce slave-free trade, which exists to change this problem. And this is where I think we're going to bring in this key word that we talked about earlier, transparency. This is where we can say, we've made the case in the earlier slides that slavery happens in the darkness because things are opaque, no one's really looking at it. Now we're going to make the point, well, let's bring transparency, let's bring light to that. And in the words we've used words like darkness, we've used pictures that have shadows in them, we've used the word shadow in our text. So once we're now telling a story, we've got this theme of light, darkness, light, shadow, transparency. So this gives us a theme that takes people all the way through. So that's where we are.
Yes.
Interesting process, slide by slide, word by word, but that's the way you've got to go through it. Last thing to say on that question you raised, David, around putting so much information. We tend to write presentations for ourselves, not for the receiver. We think, oh, well, I know this, I know that, I know this, I put all that information in there. So suddenly you get slides packed with text, and you're not taking people on a journey, because in some ways it's just a brain dump of all of the things that you know. You're an expert. You know everything about your particular issue, in this case, slave-free trade. But in other people's case, it could be around other issues. So the real work is done on sifting out that information, and that is absolutely key to take people on a story where you want them to be, and that particular person that you're trying to convince. So you keep that audience in mind, you keep the story, the theme in mind, and we take them through that journey slide by slide.